in communication with Southern California. Channel 9 Public Affairs presents the show where kids tell it like it is. Teen Talk.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Teen Talk. There's an old expression that says we spend a lifetime recovering from our childhood. But how does that affect us when we become parents ourselves? For those of us blessed with sons, we sometimes look at that little chip off the old block as our peculiar path to immortality. I could remember the day I came home with one of those Dodgers souvenir bats, the little ones, and I gave it to my 2-year-old son, Brad, and we went outside to try it on a beach ball. After duly instructing him on how to hold the bat, I pitched the ball to him. On his first try, he blasted the ball up to the second floor. Astonished, I pitched the ball once more, and again he smashed it a country mile. After that, I knew Brad and I would get along famously. I'm Joseph Feinstein, and today on Teen Talk we're joined by several fathers and sons to find out why this special relationship can be both a source of great pride and yet utter aggravation. Welcome, panel. Welcome to Teen Talk. What do you see as some of the essential ingredients in making the father-son relationship so very special? Mark, why don't we start with you?
Basically, there has to be an open line of communication. I think that a father has to be able to talk to his son openly, and in turn, a son has to be able to talk to his father openly.
Yeah.
I don't feel there can be any doubts or hesitations or holding back in the sense of worrying about what he can say to me and how he feels about it, or whether he even can talk to me.
How do you foster that, Mark?
It's something that comes over with time, trust. It's a mutual trust in each other. He has to feel that he can, whatever he says to me, that he can feel comfortable without me getting angry
or a stick in the hand.
Or a stick in the hand.
Is that working for you, Chris?
Yes, I think it's working very well. Me and my father get along really well. We communicate really well. I never feel embarrassed to talk to my father about anything.
Really?
Never. I feel my father I can talk to all the time in any situation, because he can relate to problems
Well,
that I
I
have.
tell you, this is exactly the way it was for me and Bradley while he was growing up. And up to about the age of 14, everything was going along really, really well. And then something happened. How old are you now, Chris?
I'm 14.
You're 14.
Yeah.
Okay, something happened at the 14th year. I don't know what it was. I don't know if the hormones got all accelerated or what was going on, but it stopped. It kind of, the normal adolescent urges of being his concern with his peer group took place, and that was the change, the big change. What do you ascribe this nice relationship to, Phil?
I love him, and that's the most important thing, and he knows it. He's very special in our family. He's our only son.
How many other children?
I have 2 other children. They're both girls, and Jason was planned for to be a boy. And on the third try...
You must tell us about that sometime, but that's a different show. Go ahead.
And when he was born, something very interesting happened. It was very frightening because just after he was born, I remember the doctor came out to the waiting room and told me that his heart valve had not yet closed, and there was a concern.
I didn't know that.
And
You didn't know that. Stick around this show. You'll find out all kinds of things about yourself.
And I learned later that it wasn't unusual because it usually closes within 24 hours. But at that time I was very concerned, and I said, God, let him be normal. And obviously you can see he's more than normal. He's a happy, healthy boy, and he's wonderful. And
Very special. Very special. Do you know that Dad loves you, Jason?
Yeah,
How do you know that?
just by his actions. Whenever I have a problem, I first go to my mom. She yells at me,
Yeah.
and then she tells him. And if I get grounded, he usually forgets about it. Like I didn't do my laundry, and I wasn't supposed to get allowance, but good old Dad here kind of forgot about that. So
Well,
just by his actions.
I know for me, and in all the time that I was, I have a daughter too. Susie's a very special young lady. She is well beloved by everybody that knows her. We had a very stormy childhood father-daughter relationship. But with Brad, it was marvelous, almost like from day one. Especially when he was doing this batting and hitting, and we played basketball together and threw the ball around together. And he's got wonderful eye-hand coordination. But things have changed, haven't they, since the time that Jason was a kid, Phil?
Certainly, and I would expect them to, because as he grows into young manhood, I expect him to assert his independence, and he has a mind of his own. So when we don't agree, there has to be a reasonable way of getting him to listen, and hopefully he will learn from some of the mistakes that I made. It doesn't always work, but I try. And what is very interesting is that at the strangest moments, maybe far off into the future, I hear myself being repeated, and I say, he didn't listen, and that's wonderful.
Oh, God. And how about you, Mark? When does Chris give you the biggest pain in the whatever?
When I have to repeat myself more than once and ask him to do something, the same thing over and over again. I hate the word or the term, I'll do it later. Later is never. So when we go through this song and dance.
Why do you say I'll do it later?
Well, usually I have friends over, or I just won't simply be in the mood to do it. I mean, but I will get it done, and I guess my father doesn't like laters. Everything is now. Get it done now. And I may say later because I'm busy, or I just simply don't want to do it.
Well, we can't say later when we're on television. We have to say it now. And I need to take a short break, but I want to ask you, dads, when we come back, what you would especially like your sons to be, and how are you helping them to get there? Don't go away. We'll be right back. Both the mother and the father are the initial role models for any child. But as someone once said, it's hard to raise your son to be something you are not. In what conscious ways have you intended to be a positive role model for your son? What would you especially like for him to be or do? Go ahead, Phil.
I would like him to be a warm and caring person. I want him to be involved in the world in which he lives, and to make an impact by making other people happy. I think that's where he's going to really get his satisfaction, and whatever he does professionally, that will follow. But he needs those characteristics in order to be a good person.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I'm trying to tell my students. Even in education and career options, I try to tell them to like themselves first as people, and then everything that flows from when you like yourself and when you care about yourself and hold your head up high will come. Everything will be just fine after that, as far as I'm concerned. How about you? What would you like for Chris?
I agree with you, Joe. He's got to like himself first, and if he likes himself first, then everything does flow, and he can choose his path from that point on. Of course, I would like him to go to college. In fact, he will go to college, but
you will go to college.
He will go to college,
Chris, yes.
Come or hell, high water.
Right.
But initially, as long as he's happy and content with himself and things around
Yeah,
him.
there are things, Chris, and I don't mean, to belabor this, but the fact is that we as fathers, I mean, I had the same kind of attitude about Brad when he was having his confirmation. And I was determined that he was going to have a confirmation, that this was really, really important to me. On my scale of different values of what's important, I put certain things there, and dreams and hopes and aspirations for, you know, this is the progenitor. This is the kid that I love and that I want to see happy. And at the same time, I know that I can do just so much for Brad, and then he's got to do it for himself. Are you feeling any pressure from Dad when he says something like what he just said?
No, not really, because see, what he wants, I also want. I want my father to be happy, and if me going to college is going to make him happy, which that'll make me happy. And not only that, I'd like to go to college. I want to be somebody.
Okay.
I really do. I'd like to be a doctor.
Really?
Yes.
Has that been in the dream sequence for a while?
Well, I've always dreamed really of being in sports. I've always loved basketball, but you gotta really think reality. And
reality says you're not 9'7", so.
well, I'm not gonna grow to be no Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but but I'd like to be a doctor.
Okay, all right. That's within the realm of reality.
That's
you have
within
good
reality.
grades?
Yeah, I do. I have about a 3.8 as of now.
Good. It's going to be 12 years of college too. 12 years. Not only do you want him to go to college, you want him to go to college and more college.
I always figured if he can't be a doctor, I'd rather just as soon have him play for the Boston Celtics.
The Lakers.
That's good. I like your dreams. You got a good head on your shoulders there, Mark. Let it be noted that Mark is a former student of mine at Grant High School, and he's grown up, and this is what has emerged from all of that training and good education that he's received. The best, right. What about you, Jason? What did you like what you just heard Dad say about, is his dream for you?
Actually, yeah, I did, but more his dream for me is what I want for myself.
And what is that?
So I want to be a surgeon. There's never been any pressure to go to college, yes. But there's never been any pressure. He's never pressured me into going into a field, talking about a field, or something that I don't want. He just wants what's best for me and what I want for myself.
Terrific. You guys could go into practice together. That'll be really nice. I can see myself, you worry. Yeah, it'll be nice. What does your dad give you that matters most to you? Of all the different things that he provides, what does he give you?
I think security.
Security.
I think my father gives me a lot of security, a lot of love. I think that's the problem these days with most other fathers. They don't give their son enough love and security, and that's why they resort to drugs and just worldly things, drugs and all the bad things.
Are you saying that drugs wouldn't enter your mind in terms of what you're going to do?
Well, I wouldn't say they wouldn't enter my mind, but I just think my father's given me a lot of love, and he's taught me better than
well,
drugs.
I'll tell you something. I didn't get that love from my dad at all. That was not something that he doled out to me in fact, I don't remember him ever kissing me. I have pictures of him holding me when I was 3 years old, so I know he held me, but I can't remember that either because I was a pretty big kid, heavy kid. But at the same time, going for the dope, going for the drugs, I was one of those kids that wanted to go to college. I really wanted to become something more than what my father was as a salesman. And at the same time, it was like he didn't want me to be that. And the more he didn't want me to be that, the more I wanted to be somebody. That really, really mattered to me a lot. What do you see? What are some of your dreams that you feel, that Dad is having that holds for you? What does Dad give you that matters most to you?
Love and understanding.
Your allowance just went up $12 a week.
Nice.
An hour, as a matter of fact. Go ahead.
No, we have a real special relationship. I go in every night to give my mom and my dad a goodnight kiss, and I don't see that as a problem. I love my dad, and he knows it, and
that's really neat. I appreciate what you're saying because Brad used to do the same thing at school. Brad went to Grant High School where I taught, and when he'd come in the morning, he'd stop in, to say hello kind of thing, and then he'd go on to his classes. If he went on to his classes, he would stop off, and then he'd give me a kiss in front of all the kids, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. How do you break away from your father when all these nice things are happening? You still have to be your own person, Jason.
I agree with you. I don't really consider breaking away.
No? What is it? How are you going to do this? How are you going to be your own Jason, Shapiro, so to speak?
It's, how am I going to be? Just by being myself. I'm not breaking away from him. I'm going through different stages, and he understands that there are times when I don't need his guidance, and there are times when I do, and he's still there, and he always is.
Well, your guidance will be back in just a second, because when we come back, I'm going to force you sons to answer a very difficult question right in front of your dads. Is there anything you could do that would result in your fall from grace in your father's sight? Think about that while we take a break for just a moment. I'll see you soon. Looking back on my own childhood, I really didn't learn too much from my dad. He worked long, hard hours at his job. He very seldom put his arm around me, and we very rarely kissed. As a result, I became certain and steadfast to do the exact opposite with my own children. Dads, have any of you experienced this type of upbringing, and how did you change that behavior with your son?
Mark?
Well, I left home when I was 16. I did not have any type of relationship with my mother or father at all. And I decided, because I have been a single parent since Chris was 8 months of age, never to raise him in the manner in which I was raised. There wasn't any love or affection in our household, not as it pertained to me anyway.
When you don't have it, how do you learn how to give it?
I think it's more of a feeling. It's, giving love is more of an expression of feeling. Tenderness is an expression of feeling. And I don't think that's something you learn. You either have it or don't have it.
Right.
It's an emotion.
Well, I had abundance of this from my mother. So I did learn all about love, and I did learn about being held and holding and things of that sort. And, you know, Susie and Brad can never say that they didn't get enough of that kind of kidding around and that kind of holding and that kind of loving. That was really important to me. What about with you, Phil? What was it like with your mom and dad?
Well, my parents were immigrants from Eastern Europe, and in their tradition, the father really had very little to do with the children. And so I didn't have much of a relationship with my father, because my mother really was responsible for the upbringing. And I developed a relationship with him later on as I went through high school and through college, and we became close because he took real pride in our accomplishments, and that's when he could really relate to us as young adults. But my mother gave us, you know, a lot of attention, and she was a warm, caring person.
That's nice. Let's ask the question that we left our audience with on the second segment. What would you gentlemen, you young gentlemen, have to do to fall from grace in your father's estimation? What would be something that would really knock them off their topple, so to speak?
Knock them off. All right. If I became a drug addict, dropped out of school, and went to live on the streets. But then again, even if I did that, I know he'd still be there, and he'd still be worrying about me and trying to get me straight, and still being a good dad.
You really feel that?
Yeah. I don't think I could do anything that would completely cut off the relationship.
Well, I want you to know that I have one of the deep regrets of my life is the fact that I spent my entire 16th year of my life not talking to my father. Though we lived in an apartment like about 800 square feet, and we were constantly bumping into one another, but we didn't say anything to one another. And I was determined that this will never happen between my children and myself. I mean, you know, there are long periods of time when we just don't talk because of distance. Brad's in Albuquerque now. But the fact is that it's really important to me to establish that communication that Mark was talking about right at the beginning. Could you do anything, Chris, that would turn Dad off?
Yeah, I think if I took drugs, I agree with him. I think my father is he's brought me up great. He's been my best friend. He's been the best, and I think drugs would really hurt him. And I think another thing that hurts my father is when I lie to him. Mm-hmm. My father hates to be lied to. I learned not to lie to him.
So you found out he was lying to you, and he really had a couple of marijuana joints in his room. Mm-hmm. What do you do to him, Mark? You're a big guy. And
he'd probably be cycle 3.
What does cycle 3 mean?
Like dog food.
Dog food, okay.
Yeah. I'm not worried about him lying to me, or maybe smoking a couple of joints out of probably just fear. Mm-hmm. He probably fears his life, for his life.
Yeah.
But I think, realistically, in bringing him up as I have, there's really no reason for him to lie to me. In other words, I think if a child lies to a parent, the parent has given him reason to do so.
That's a very interesting conjecture, that the pain and the hurt that's given instead of the understanding that could be given at a time like that is really in the forefront. That's a good point. Yeah. That's a really good point. What did you do that really provoked your father's anger? Can you remember anything that you did?
Looking back briefly, I know that when I was in junior high, I got a couple of U's on my report card. He went absolutely berserk. But then again, I was never really close to my father because he was not around a lot. Mm-hmm. I think we were acquaintances, not father and son.
What would you like your father to know now that it's 1988? What would you like to tell him if he was still here?
It's interesting. I've never thought about it because there isn't much I can say to him after all this time. I mean, there has been such a gap and such a long period of silence between the both of us. I have thought about it many times, and there really isn't much to say. All I can say is, thanks for bringing me into the world, and that's the long and the short of it.
Well, we're going to have to take a few moments now to think about what the sponsors want to tell us. We'll be back in just a moment. My son Brad and I shared his very stormy adolescence together. As they say, he did his thing, and I really had a difficult time accepting some of his ways. Today, Brad is working as an assistant manager of a fast food restaurant in Albuquerque, and our relationship has grown nearer despite the distance. My only regret is that I never had the chance to bridge that gap with my own father. To you sons or dads out there, I hope you don't live to regret your own missed opportunities. For Teen Talk, this is Joseph Feinstein saying we'll see you very soon.